Everyone, thanks for checking out the podcast. Steve Buzza here, his partner in crime.
Megan Buzza.
Megan Buzza. Buzza what?
Buzza.
Buzza. I'm used to people struggling. I was going to say my second name, our second name. Now I get it. In one split second, I get it. It's very hard to say. Megan Buzza. And today, podcast Buzz About Golf, we are talking about swing realities versus myths. So stuff people do and say that actually really holds them back.
Yep. It makes sense until it doesn't make sense.
It makes sense until it doesn't make sense. And I think one of the tough things with golf is when you're on the range, you could come up with the silliest of ideas. I use this in my in-person lessons. This is the magic cup. If you touch the magic cup will make you hit good shots. The problem is, if you go up and hit a good shot, would you go touch the magic cup?
Every time?
Yeah.
Nah, probably not.
So you're telling me all you have to do is touch the magic cup.
And then you stop touching.
And you hit a great shot. Are you going to run the risk of not touching the magic cup? Or would you just simply, without anyone looking, give it a little tap?
I mean, I'm kind of like the magic cup person.
But
I would definitely.
My point.
I like to believe in
that. But so today's podcast is about the magic cup.
I had no idea what he was talking about.
My point is if you touch the magic cup and hit a good shot, the magic cup is the example of a swing idea.
Oh, okay.
So if you try something, even if it's wrong, sometimes when we're overthinking in particular, we hit a good shot. It's got nothing to do with that. So cause and effect.
Magic cup.
Magic cup. So as we know, and I always like using silly examples because we know it's not the magic cup. But can you see if it was, I changed I give you a crazy one. I turned my grip from being on the handle to now I feel like there's a bit more separation in my hands. If you hit a good shot after doing that, you might create a cause and effect that the slight gap in the hands made me hit a better shot. Whereas and I've picked one at random, there's a strong chance that wasn't the change or that wasn't the element that made the change.
But I feel like people do that all the time, right?
No, absolutely.
Yeah, that's golf for a lot of people.
But that's what I'm saying. That's where these myths come from.
Okay, yeah.
And the plan, we were going to do 3 myths each. Just before we turned the camera on, I went, do you have your 3? And Megan goes, I don't need to write them down. They're this, this, and this. Megan, what did you choose? Which 3 did you choose?
Head down. Keep your head down.
Yes.
Keep your left arm straight or keep your arm straight.
Yes.
And swing slow.
And swing slow. So my 3 are head down, speed, and straight left arm, or straight lead arm. So we are very much on the same page here. We have 3. I rambled a bit in the intro, so maybe 3 rather than 6 could be a way forward. But can you see? I'm trying to set the scene. We'll get into these, but I want your opinion on this but this is something again I say to my in-person lessons. I say if I give 10 lessons, 9 people bring logic. The thing that they think is wrong is logical.
Yeah. Sometimes
all 9 are incorrect. But I can understand, and again, I don't make that comment from a place of judgment. They make the comment, I go, actually, that makes a ton of sense. But then when you check, that's not what's happening. Mm-hmm. There's the one other. That's for another podcast. But you can see, the vast majority of people understand their swing well enough that they go, look, I think this is kind of the problem. The issue we get, and again, it's this cause and effect, and it's this myth idea, or you get told something that we feel like it's going to help, and we go, look, a lot of time it just doesn't help.
Yeah. It's actually, in many of these cases, it's the one thing that's holding people back from playing their best golf.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And can you see, this is why, and again, this is a topic you could speak on for ages. Why do I struggle on the golf course when I'm doing well and then I just can't keep it going? This can be one of the reasons. You hit a bad shot, you then reintroduce an idea, and it's the idea that's actually causing us issues.
Yeah, definitely.
Go on, you start us off. Head down.
Keep your head down. The number one most popular piece of advice is actually the thing that I think is making golfers not improve.
And could you give me a definition? So when we say head down.
So, in some cases it really is somebody watching another person play and literally forcing them to hold their head in one position. So, like you might see someone holding their head so that they can't move it. But really, it's like just not allowing it to. A lot of people are worried about it like popping up.
Okay, but I want to get a real strong definition. So you're
Okay.
saying eyes on the ball, and again, I want to get all the terms out. So head down, we're kind of talking, and you mentioned it there, very still.
Yeah, very still,
So
like not moving.
eyes completely on the ball.
And even not moving in the backswing or in the through
Yes.
swing.
So we're very much, so when we say head down, it's kind of the concept of the head is not allowed to move in the slightest.
Yes, that is, yeah. So a lot of times if someone hits the ground too much or hits the top of the ball, everyone playing with them says, oh, see, you lifted your head up. You need to keep your head down even more.
Yes. So I have a question for you. How often do you, in a lesson, bar putting, so putting is slightly different.
Putting, yeah.
Putting isn't dynamic. So, and I think this is one of the places where this comes from, is putting we do stay very still. It's not a dynamic move. It's a fine motor skill, not a gross motor skill. So I think is a beautiful thing about golf. We have lots of different parts of the game that actually aren't in common. It's what makes golf quite tough. Something that dynamic driving doesn't help you on a 2-foot putt. Being the best at a 2-foot putt doesn't make you good at driving. They're separate skills. But we go down, so head down. When do you ever, in a lesson, tell someone, keep your head down, versus you're allowed to almost let your head move through?
Yeah, so I definitely have the preference of having them feel like they move their head through. So great example would be Annika Sorenstam when she, if you look at videos of when she was playing, I mean, her head would release before she'd even hit the ball. So a great drill that I have people do is just close their eyes and hit balls with their eyes closed. And it's amazing how they start to associate the weight. It's not actually looking at the ball as much as getting in the right setup position for success.
And I like that comment. So we're creating a correlation between the eyes looking at the ball versus the head staying still. So what you're saying is, look, you can hit the ball with your eyes closed, which I agree with, by the way. I don't do that drill as much as you do, but I've seen how successful you have been. When somebody's overthinking, closing the eyes, especially with driver, it almost creates a freedom. And what we do, so the eyes, how do I say this? The eyes have a very big association with balance, but they're very dominant. So a lot of the time, so to your point, when you close your eyes, that dominance disappears, and then you can actually start feeling the movement
your body,
better.
yep.
A good example, a little story going a little off topic. When we first started to date, I was putting at a tournament, and I was not putting very well. Day one, putt horribly. I call you up, and I give you a coach's worst nightmare. Hey, I'm putting terribly. I need you to help me. And then you went, well, what's the problem? And I said, well, I just told you I'm putting terribly. I gave you, there was no context. So you said to me, oh, hey.
Make me play better.
Yeah, make me play better. You said, close your eyes. Putt with your eyes closed. And I went, oh, that's a great idea. Like I say, we were only dating for a very short time. I put the phone down. I go, there is absolutely no way I'm doing that. That's stupid. Oh, the love of my life. What a great idea. No. So anyway, I get on the first hole.
That doesn't surprise me
Yes.
at all.
I'm not sure I've even told you this story. So I get on the first hole. hit a horrendous putt. And I realized that I had that epiphany. I have hit rock bottom. It actually cannot get any worse. So I go, oh, you know, apparently she's a specialist in putting. I'm going to close my eyes. And what was crazy, by literally closing my eyes, even for the practice stroke, I could then start feeling where the putter was going. So then I putt and I closed my eyes, and I'm not saying I putted like Jordan Spieth, but I had a complete turnaround. I went from incompetent to actually feeling like I could putt. And that was the eyes being closed because they're so over dominant. And I think sometimes when people are struggling, it's that over dominance that the player goes to, or when somebody's giving you advice.
Yeah. Well, and right now with the head down, you know, we've really touched on that it can be mental, it can be balance, it can be setup related, but truly it creates an action and a reaction. So when you keep your head down, it doesn't allow your arms to do their job, so they chicken wing.
Yes.
So that's what, if they do their job, you'll bang into the ground, and no one wants to do that. So then you learn to chicken wing your arms. It's because we need to have some force launching or going up to allow the club to do its job and have an action and a reaction. So there is physics behind it. It's not just mental and you know, balance related. It does have to do with you forcing your head to be in that still position is not allowing the club to do what it's supposed to do.
And I will give you the two. So when we're talking about this, sometimes when it comes to myths, in a coaching environment, you're like, well, you're one-on-one, but the person's like, hang on, I get that you're of this opinion, but I've heard it from so many other places. What makes you the one that knows everything versus everybody else is wrong? So everybody else is wrong, but you're the greatest coach in the world. You are the only one that's right. So
That's literally the easiest. Can I tell you?
I was going to
Real
tell you what
quick?
I do, but tell me what you were going to say.
That's
no,
easy.
And I like
it's
it.
like, well, number one, look at where you are right now. And number two, like I've had students that have gained, I've had students that have gained like 60 yards by not keeping their head down and on their drive. So would you like to gain 60 yards or would you like to keep hitting the top of the ball? It's your choice.
Yeah.
Okay, go ahead.
So I like your way because you're just saying, look, let's just try. You know, and there is a lot to that. I just my putting example is the perfect example. Like you're missing anyway. I use the one in the bunker. Like you never get out the bunker. Like you've got nothing to worry about. Just let's try something. So sometimes simply trying and going, look, let's try and create a cause and effect. Let's do a mini experiment.
Yeah, I like that.
My two. So one, from a biomechanics standpoint, from a movement perspective, I think one of the mistakes we make is we refer to the neck as a separate entity to the spine. And because we do that, we create this disconnect where the neck can stay still, because obviously if the head is staying still, the neck is staying still.
Yeah.
So we make this assumption that the neck can stay still, and that's not going to have any influence on the spine. Whereas we go, hang on a minute, the neck is cervical, the neck is a part of the spine. So first of all, I like to say this, and let's keep it simple. So everybody's slightly different, but let's keep it simple. The hips turn 45 degrees. The shoulders, or the sternum, turns 90 degrees, which is actually 45 degrees because the hips have taken it 45 already.
Yeah.
And then the neck, the cervical, turns about 20 degrees. So the neck is turning about half of what, you know, I use the shoulders, but the sternum, the upper body is turning. So it's just under half.
Yeah.
So if you shut the head down in the backswing, so if you try and keep both eyes on the ball, disaster.
Yeah, you can't turn those shoulders.
Yes. So if we agree that, look, the neck is allowed to move a bit, and in the golf swing we tilt, our eye line is likely to tilt.
Yeah.
So all of a sudden, we go, look, I can have both eyes on the ball to start with, but as I turn in my backswing, I could look at it as, well, I'm going to get a little loss of vision, but my eyes are going to tilt a bit. So if I'm looking at the ball, I'm going to be looking from a slightly different position.
Yeah.
So now we go, look, I've actually turned my head a little bit, so I have to turn them back a little bit, by definition.
Yeah.
So my head is in motion. So the still image, so the Annika Sorenstam example, you go, well, she and David Duval are exceptions to the rule. So sometimes the exception to the rule
They're
proves the
pretty
rule.
darn good, those two players.
No, they are. But can you? I'm playing devil's advocate.
Yeah.
The exception to the rule proves the rule. So I go, well, those two look weird because they do it too much. But you go, actually, no. What's the performance indicator? They move their body sensationally. They're getting their body open.
Yeah.
So at impact, I need my body to be open. My lower body will be more open than my upper body, but both are going to be open to the target. Both are going to be more open to where they started. So what are club golfers not very good at?
Opening their body.
Opening their body.
Yeah.
What is Duval and Annika very good at? Opening their body. So we go, if we let our head move, it takes away tension and understand the way that the segments work. If you were to fix down the neck, you lose the ability to move where you should be. So all of a sudden, the thoracic spine starts struggling to move. So now I can't turn. So now if I can't turn, what am I going to do? I'm going to jump. So now I'm popping my head up. So in a quest not to pop my head up and fix it down, I'm basically guaranteeing that I'm either going to pop up or I hurt myself because I have to stay down. The other big one, so that's the one. Number 2, if I get stuck on my right side, so I load back in the backswing, maybe I even sway a bit, but let's say I've gone onto my rear side. If I stay there, I have to push my hands forwards, and the reaction force to that is pushing my upper body back and my head back. So the other issue is I'm not arguing that some people do pop up their head and some people move their head in strange ways. My argument is the solution isn't to keep it down. So I'll leave us because we.
See, you're very kind. I think people definitely are not having the issue of their head coming up. I don't think that's happening. I think people don't know what else to tell them. So they're saying, hey, you lifted your head, when it's like, well, what about, like, okay, junior golfers. See it all the time with junior golfers. He's not keeping his eye on the ball. He keeps lifting his head. Well, you don't think it has to do with him having clubs that are 3 times too big for him? Or 3 times too small?
I always say, you should be insulted when someone says that because they're implying you forgot that that's what you were meant to be doing. You know, oh my gosh, I got so fixated on making the perfect swing, I forgot I was meant to hit the ball. And you do make a comment, and we're going to move on to speed now, but what happens is the advice, I say it comes from a place of empathy. So, oh man, you looked up, keep your head down. It's a place of empathy. Oh man, you just need to slow down. Oh man, you just look. What they're noticing is they're noticing the mistakes. Speed in particular. You make a really poor swing. Think about someone on a dance floor. If they are very bad at dancing, they look bad if they slow dance. If they give us a cha-cha-cha, they look bad because they're bad at dancing. It's not the speed. The cha-cha-cha. I showed you my knowledge of dancing was slow dance. I can't name any. Oh, break dancing.
No, I think you've overexceeded your
cha-cha-cha.
the cha-cha-cha.
I don't know many dance types, but can you see what I'm saying? So don't try and keep it down. The one thing I like to say is turn through the ball.
Okay.
Just turn through the ball.
Yeah.
It encourages you to turn your body. That's a positive solution. Fixing the head down, massive no. Speed. Go on, give me speed.
So we both, it's funny, I put swing slow and you put speed, but yeah, a lot of people, just believe in the hit it straight, don't try to hit it far. So I think that's a myth.
So that's what I did my research masters on. So we can do a whole podcast on speed.
I think we kind of need a whole one on that, but
yes, but my for speed is there's a thing called speed accuracy trade-off theory, and that is, as it says on the tin, As you get faster, more error occurs. The research in that is not in human movement. It's not in a sporting environment. So if you rush an email, you will make mistakes. When you do cognitive tasks like that, you will make mistakes.
Yeah.
Doesn't apply to human movement. When I did my research masters, I initially looked at tennis, first serve, second serve. You know, you go, oh, the first serve goes in not as much as the second serve. Second serve, they very rarely miss. So they slow the second serve down. They're more accurate. It's not what they do. They put topspin on. They change the task. They put topspin on. The ball can carry higher over the net. It makes the surface area bigger. Serve area bigger. So as somebody that didn't play much tennis, I didn't know that until I looked into it. So you go tennis, if you try and go like aim at they do that drill where they aim at a can of balls.
Oh yeah. The tin thing.
I actually saw it in a movie, so I assume they do that. But if they try and hit that can at 100%, 90%, 80%, 70%, blah, 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 doesn't change their accuracy. So again, that's one for another day, but
yeah, I mean, I
that.
like that one just in terms of like tossing a ball back and forth with someone, and then all of a sudden you tell them to like do it slower. They actually lose their athletic ability and the sequencing and everything. So I just say, let the beast out of the cage, let the big dog eat, or let the whatever. But let's let that fluid motion actually allow the sequence to take place.
And I let, so with driver, I only think distance initially for that reason. And understand that the body has to sequence itself, and the language in which it speaks is acceleration, deceleration. So when you try and go slower, you reduce acceleration, deceleration, you reduce the interaction, causes us issues. We've said putting. Putting is slightly different. It's a fine motor skill. But even putting, the thing I see the biggest issue is people go slow. To Megan's point, slow usually equals thinking.
Yeah.
Slow is more of a conscious move. Faster is more of a subconscious.
Stinking thinking. And in fact, I didn't tell you this, but my sports psychologist that I learned that from passed away this week from Penn State.
Oh, sorry to hear that.
So I've been thinking a lot about stinking thinking that I learned from him.
Stinking
Yeah.
thinking.
Dr. Uke from Penn State.
Dr. Uke. So,
R.I.P. to him and his family.
And I bet he's helped you a lot through your coaching journey.
Yes.
Just
Oh
as
my
much
gosh,
as
I learned so much. But yeah, I learned about stinking thinking, and that is one of the things that definitely happens if you try to swing too slow. Is all these thoughts come into play.
Stinking thinking. So I very much
You'll
like that.
hear me say that a lot.
I've heard you say it. I didn't know that was why you said it.
Yeah.
So speed.
Last
like I said,
one.
and get questions about speed, because speed is it's a multi-topic, because it's how do I develop,
that would be a
how
fun
do I
one
go
when
that?
we dig more into that.
Absolutely.
I think I know a guy that knows a lot about speed.
I know a little bit.
That came out wrong, but hey, on to number 3.
Straight left arm.
Straight left arm.
So
This is a good one.
Lead arm. So top of the backswing, trying to keep that arm fixed.
Yeah, I see that a lot in instruction.
And it's a go-to. I think of the 3, head down is starting to wean its way out from coaches.
Oh yeah, I feel like coaches have moved past. If you're still saying head down, you need to watch more of this of our videos.
You don't need to watch our videos. You need to watch. Yeah, I'm not going to finish that comment.
All right, okay.
So I think speed is a hot topic at the minute. So I think that's starting to be understood a bit more.
Yeah.
There's a difference between speed, tempo, and cadence.
Yeah.
But I think that's getting better. Straight left arm, I still hear a lot.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And again, to define that, so at the top of the swing, the lead arm, left arm for a right-handed golfer, should be straight. That's under the theory, I suppose it controls the swing arc. It keeps the club moving on a more planar movement, therefore making it easier to hit.
Yeah, I mean, I see it a little in a different way that it's been taught so regularly, and it's the ideal for a lot of people, because at setup, it looks really straight. At the top of the swing, it looks really straight. At impact, it looks really straight. And those are just moments in time where it happens to be at moments where it's extended. It's not extended the whole time.
Yeah.
And so by understanding that it's a dynamic motion and not just a static picture in different positions of the swing, that it's ever changing. And so I think that people see it and go, well, look, it's straight there. And it's like, yeah, but that's the moment where, let's say the top of the swing, where you're about to change directions.
Yeah.
So now you have force pulling the other way, making it look really straight.
I think the straight arm of these three is the hardest because at the top of the swing, it's allowed to look straight. So it's not.
Yes.
It's not about it has to bend. It's more of the issue is I'm trying to keep it rigid.
Yeah, it definitely is something that people really try to do.
But can you see what I'm saying? I do understand it because like you watch some of the best players in the world. So you watch the tour pros, the vast majority, they do look straight. Jim McLean, I'm not 100% sure how he did the research on this, but he makes a comment. He thinks 95% of tour pros do not have their left arm straight.
I love that. I've never heard that stat.
And it's understanding, and where this one is maybe different to the other two, is I'm not giving you permission just to fold your arm.
Yeah. Like you'll still have structure. You just won't be so rigid.
So I like that. So you're allowed structure, but it doesn't have to be rigid. Some interesting points on the left arm. So TPI, Titleist Performance Institute, one of the body screens they do is a lat test where you lift your arms.
That one?
Yeah, you're kind of in a semi squat up against the wall. You lift your arms. If you can't get your arms behind your head, or if you can't get your arms to touch the wall, your arms are going to bend slightly. Or I like to use the word, you have permission to let them bend slightly. There are people that can go fully back, so they're allowed a straight arm, but they're naturally going to create a straight arm. They're not going to be trying to keep it rigid. The other one with the straight left arm is we have two bones in our lower arm. If you try to keep the arm rigid, it locks out the bones. It makes it harder to actually retain structure in the arm. So if you think about when you hit, we're allowed in the forearm to rotate slightly. So when you try to make it completely rigid, you lock out the forearm, makes it harder to let those bones move, so the arm then bends.
Yeah.
So if you notice out of these myths, and you made the comment about head down, if you try to physically do it, it actually tends to cause the problem in which you were trying to do it for in the first point. So if you try to keep your head down, you'll jump up. If you try to swing smooth, the swing will look more erratic. If you try to keep your left arm straight, the likelihood is the tension created, you'll lose speed. You'll lose tempoing. Your arm will then want to bend, especially through the ball, because if you've got tons of tension at that elbow and you can't release it at the forearm, your arm will bend under the pressure.
Yeah.
So what we find with these myths is, and it's kind of crazy, like I said, 9 out of 10 people bring logic.
Yeah.
So I understand the three. I don't come from a place of judgment. I understand the three. But the crazy thing with all three of these is when you try to do them to fix a problem, it tends to increase the problem.
Yeah.
So why can I not finish my round off? Because I wasn't thinking about these things. So this is going to be my closing statement, Your Honor. If I'm playing great, and the things I'm thinking about when I'm playing great, they have to be present when I'm playing great. Head down, speed, straight, left arm, you don't tend to think about when you're playing great. You hit a couple bad shots and then you reintroduce them. If they were the solution, they would already be present. If you think when I'm driving the ball well, I'm just going to see how far I can hit it.
Yeah.
I'm allowed to move. I feel I've got so much rhythm today. I'm moving so well. You see, all of these things don't have those three things present.
Yeah. And I think that's a really good point in itself, that all these 3 myths, they're doing more damage than good in your game. So what we're saying is, let's replace them with something that will actually help you. So
Yes.
if we could let go of these 3 myths, you'll be playing your best golf. If you have all of a sudden something comes to attack you and you need to hit it, don't do it with a straight arm. That's not going to benefit you very well. Get a little.
That's the final
little
point.
flex
If you
in
want to
there.
get your golf better, take a golf club to the middle of the forest, ideally where there's a lot of animals. Fend for yourself for a couple of weeks. You'll come back a better golfer with a better mindset, I suppose.
Yeah, better mindset. You'll still keep that
I
speed
said
up.
I was finishing with a closing argument, Your Honor, and then I started talking about that. So, thank you for watching. What are your comments on this? Most people watching have at least tried to use one of these at some point. I would like the comments on, are you someone that's using them now, or somebody that was using them, has dropped them and are playing better? What did you drop them for? What are the solutions? I think that should be the next podcast.
Yeah.
So
There's more to come.
Yes.
And so comment on what you want to hear from us. And Buzz About Golf is back.
And go on, do the finish, because you're ready. I could see you wanted it.
Stay happy, stay safe. We hope to catch you soon.
Boosh. Good work.